Yeah, so how did this thing come about? I guess, uh, shoot, there's like anything, there's multiple stages that formulate the backstory to these keels. And also, I think it's important to say, I don't feel like I've necessarily revolutionized anything. It's my take, and I've come to a similar conclusion to other designers. Ryan Lovelace comes to mind. He's got an upright keel that's very similar. Britt Merrick did one that's very similar, and so we all have uh, this notion, that a keel that is more upright than a traditional keel, um, with more base than a twin, is what's wanted for some of these twin keel designs. Whether it's like the traditional San Diego fish or like the Simon Jones Torren Martin style, four channel round pin. But as far as the keels go, in general, I was really taken, I always say this, by Richard Kinvin, early 2000s, and his experiments with Simmons, all things Simmons. And the, that whole concept of a short, wide board, different than the Liss fish, different than the San Diego fish, um, except sharing the similarity of planing surface. I hope I'm not all over the place here, but the idea of that wide tail block held together with two keels really resonated with me. And then just seeing the surfing that he was doing and a young Ryan Birch on those designs was really exciting. And also, I guess another piece of that is, I can't say that I probably, like a lot of people, because I'm not a San Diego guy, really first came into contact with or awareness of the San Diego fish, funny enough, under Derek Hines' feet in Litmus at J Bay, and I think it kind of blew everyone's mind. And then, um, you know, similar but different, Tommy Curran on the Fireball fish. And I say similar but different because those were more like twin fins with a little trailer, little needle nose, was it Timmy Patterson fish, I think, or was it Tommy Peterson? Peters, that's right. Easy to mix those up because I think Timmy Patterson also does a swallowtail high performance fish. He does everything, and everything he does is great. So I love everybody. Uh, so you're gonna have some editing to do here. I guess starting in the big mashup, there's a whole world of twin fins, right? There's a Simmons style planing hull, which is its own thing, a mini Simmons or even a bigger Simmons, which Richard Kinvin brought into the general consciousness with all his Simmons experiments. There's the Liss style fish with the Gephardt keels, which also busted into everyone's consciousness via Litmus, Derek Hind. And obviously that's not, a lot of people knew about the fish and were super into the fish, but anyway, to get still to reiterate that broadness of the twin keel design, there's, in my mind, the Simmons and the Steve Liss, and then a whole different category is the MR20. That's like a different creature. The MR twin is as distinct from the San Diego style fish, deep swallowtail keels, as opposed to the wing swallow upright twins. That's as those two designs are distinct as the twin is from the thruster, in my mind. And then another iteration is the Simon Jones, round pin Torren Martin 4-channel twin, and that kind of also was shocking, I think, to people's consciousness, just to see this kind of long, lanky guy riding the tube and doing the Torren Martin show. He's amazing and such a pleasure to watch surfing. So all those things are sort of, offering directions and feelings that you can go in. So my feeling was, or my experience has been, first deep into that Simmons style thing, and just I flat out I see something like a lot of people and I'm inspired by it and I want to try my take on it. So I did my take on a mini Simmons, like that Casper style board. So I did that, and I had done some San Diego style fish. Never really nailed one to my satisfaction, but had really good experiences on those with Gephardt keels on a short sort of Tyler Warren bar of soap, all influenced from Kinvin, influenced from Simmons. And what I started to realize was those keels and that straight rail line are locked in. No matter how hard you push, that thing's never going to come out. You can, and so you can ride a tiny little board in bigger waves, and that got me thinking about riding bigger waves. And I made that 9.6 keel fin gun based on a Pat Curran template. Chopped the thing so it has the wide tail block, roughly suggesting the Simmons concept, but in a big wave package, held together with Gephardt keels. Proof of concept, totally works, unreal. So I love keels. And then I just started thinking, kind of just rode those for a while. They're so projecting that I was sort of missing snapping and even sliding a little bit. And that kind of got my thinking, well, hey, if these twin keel designs are happening, maybe it would be worth revisiting the MR style twin. And that is a very precise style of surfing. You need to plant your feet. It's kind of counterintuitive. You need to drive the board really hard to be able to maximize the design of those upright keels. The wing swallow, it's so loose that if you kind of surf it with your ankles and flick it around, you'll just be sliding all over the place. You really need to channel your inner Dane Kealoha and power that thing, you know? So I did that for a while, and then Torrin Martin came in and just kind of like fired me up, and I was straight into doing my version of those boards and feeling like sometimes the upright twin, the 5.5 inch fin on like a 6.6 or even a 6.4 would feel like too much. Like in the apex of the turn, it wouldn't release until like a breaking point almost. Like it wouldn't make you wipe out, but you'd be in the apex of your turn, and where you would want to finesse it, like, you know, and come down and, you know, reset and hit it again. It would sort of keep you on that line, release and launch you out, and you sort of like, whoa, I'm not trying to be over here, I'm trying to be back here. You know, you can recover, but it doesn't have that like just brain out of the bucket, put the board where you want it, which is actually the best thing about thrusters. So I was like, how do you change that up? How do you deal with that? I think two things, maybe smaller fins and a wing in front of the fins to sort of break that. But basically, we're still dealing with two different styles of dual fin surfboards. The MR style, roughly, and the list fish or Simmons, as different as those actually are, style boards. And so what I've come to with this keel, and as I mentioned, a couple of other guys, and I probably didn't exhaust the list by saying Britt and Ryan, have come to a similar place where we want to combine the elements of both. And so in short, it's more bass than a twin, more upright than a keel. And the result has been, for me, pretty rewarding. I find that they work well in for some reason, I think my interest has just gone in this direction. I add a second wing, a double wing swallow to what would be an MR style board, but pull in the nose a little bit more, make it a little bit longer than you might ride. Like if you were riding, say, a 6.2 MR style twin fin, I might make it 6.8 or even 7.0, and have a continuous rocker, but quite a bit of rocker. I find those longer boards can absorb the rocker, so you're not pushing water like when you have an overly rockered short board. and then a drivey outline, but curve, because again it can absorb it at 7 feet, and then or even 6'8", 6'6", and then those keels, you have this combination of maneuverability, break points with the wings, and then just that line drive of the bigger surface area of a keel, because I think, truth be told, they're more keels than they are upright twin fins. And because they're more keels than upright twins, they also work in gliders. And so it's kind of a counterintuitive, like, whoa, left turn, what? You're talking about these, I call them fast attack twins that double wing swallow. But it's just about setting them where they want to be in the particular board. So like, say on a 10-foot glider, which would have kind of a Baja nose, and by that I mean like a 1950s style gun, which is still fuller than a needle nose, but not like a round nose. It's just got a pleasing, it just seems like a natural form of a surfboard, especially at like 10 feet. And it comes back and has a shallow swallowtail and keeps that overall sort of like Simmons planing hull, in essence, sort of outline with rocker and softer bevels, very much like, at least what I remember seeing of Skip Fry's boards when we were in Scotland. He had his big Eagles, 3-fin, triple stringer, just beautiful, beautiful boards. Those he ran with marine ply 3 fins though. But yeah, those Fish Simmons designs, and so you just have to set those back a little bit farther, because they are only, forget the exact depth, I'm sure we can put the specs up, you know, but they're 6 1/4 inches long, and maybe they're, I just can't remember how deep they are, 5 something, well, like that. And we also messed around with, we didn't want to give him a double foil like a Gephardt keel, but I also thought that it was important not to have a single-sided foil. So also I think they might be 90-10 or maybe even 80-20. They do have a little bit of an inside foil, and I feel like that is important in a keel because of the overall surface area. If you have that single-sided foil, makes a lot of sense in a more dynamic turning board like, say, an MR Twin. For laminar flow, I think it's sort of like there's more of it counterintuitively, and maybe I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but my intuition is that, so you have the foil on the outside and the flat on the inside, and it's actually holding more, whereas a slight foil on the inside is more foil, more lift, maybe, you know, but also counteracted by the overall area being greater than the twin fin. So I think the area of a fin obviously has a lot to do with the quality of the ride. More area, more drive, but maybe more sticky, as I was saying, in that apex of the turn in those 4-channel twins. That stickiness can come, I think, with too much surface area on the twin.
Great.
Yeah.
Easy. That's it.
I think so. I don't know how much more there is to... I don't know how you're going to pick all that out, or if that's even coherent, but...